I'm Dave Coletti. I'm the VP of Sports Insights and Strategy here at iSpot. The one word that I believe really sums up my experience so far is innovative. And I've found in my interactions with people that there's a real flexibility of thought and a desire to pursue data outcomes, insights, et cetera, that are outside that kind of the traditional parameters of media measurement. Holistically, it's a measurement company at its core. Now, obviously, ads are the critical component of that. I think that differentiates iSpot from a lot of folks in the media measurement space because ultimately it's rooted in the business of television. And I think that's a real unique aspect of the company. The thing that I find most exciting about being in sports insights is discovery. There's really no greater feeling than finding something out that I know is going to help someone. It's going to help a client drive their business or make a smarter decision. The first problem that I'm attempting to solve is making sure that we have the most robust and nimble data that helps a client answer the questions that they have. The second problem is very much about the current state of sports, which is tumultuous, going through tremendous fragmentation and tremendous change. So it's about working with our customers to better understand that landscape and then collaborate in developing insights that help explain what's going on across audiences, across platforms, across outcomes. Among the key findings, we found maybe a half dozen or so major reasons why you might see these deltas between spot level impressions and average commercial minute audience. And those are things like audience flow, which is the typical, what we call shape of viewing for a sport, right? So for example, the NFL tends to build through the first quarter. It kind of reaches its peak into the second quarter, into the third quarter, and then it may or may not decline depending on factors within the game. And that's the second reason, which are telecast circumstances. The teams that are playing, the score, if there may be key injuries or how long the game might go, even things like what time zone are the teams from and how that affects how much audience is available at certain parts of the game, depending on if fans can get to a TV set. We found things about time spent viewing. So every sport tends to have a certain level of engagement that is unique unto itself. And that also is affected by the platform that you're viewing on. So there is a distinctly different viewer experience watching on a traditional cable set-top box versus through a streaming app. And that has a lot to do with the ability to navigate within that experience, to either flip channels or stay within the app. We spent a lot of time looking at out-of-home audiences and how not only does that add a lot of incrementality to sports viewing, but the shape of that viewing looks a lot different than the in-home shape. Viewers tend to be there earlier in a game and tend to decline later in the game. But as it gets late, people go home, or maybe the game isn't close and they depart the venue that they're viewing from. I'm incredibly excited about change, which may seem counterintuitive, but we are in the midst of an incredible amount of change in the sports industry, primarily around the distribution of sports, moving from what once was a purely linear distribution model and now is very much moving to a multi-platform or even streaming exclusive distribution model. It is incredibly important to always be a perpetual student, which I think is really important the longer I spend in the research industry, because it's human nature that the more time you spend, the more experience you have, that it's quite possible for your thinking to kind of calcify and you become the research guru know-it-all who always has an answer based on the things that you've learned in the past. But clearly, because of the amount of change and fragmentation that's going on in the media space, the different dynamics, a lot of which is generational, the launch of new platforms that are becoming popular, it is critical to always stay engaged, to always be learning, and to be that perpetual student.